Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dave Darling, and should we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today, where we'll be chatting. I don't know what we're going to chat about. What we've been up to today? Nothing crazy. Just playing some games. I played the Genshin Impact event. I suppose if you're watching the Sim feature, it's about Visaurus and Aoife's introduction and curing Saurus. It's very, very sweet. It has an absolutely one of the most heartwarming, I think, cutscenes, towards the end of the event that I've seen, which I very, very liked and adored. What else? Oh, I guess we'll do this first. Hello everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 5:39 PM on Saturday, April 5th, 2025. Not too much else, to be honest. I really should be drawing a thumbnail up, but honestly I'm getting a little bit lazy at the moment. Probably because I've had a busy week, so... Let me unwind. I want to do the Triggers story quest as well, but that might not be able to be done until later. Also, we did play Rabbit and Steel till quite late last night. To the extent that I woke up today and I was like, damn, I want to play some more Rabbit and Steel. Why are we always playing it at 4 AM? Not 4 AM, actually we did go up to 4 AM this time, which was definitely way too late. 2 AM, that sort of thing. But I don't know, it's just like a fun game, I think. Well, I like it. Makes me wonder if I would actually enjoy Final Fantasy XIV if I were to play it. I think the answer is probably no, because it's an MMO grind system and that's way too much. Like, MMORPGs, just too much at the moment. But yeah, what to talk about? I'm not really sure. Just like, I mean, thinking about Rabbit Steel. I'm not going to talk about Rabbit Steel in an Animal Crossing episode yet. Not until, I don't know, I understand it all a bit better. But if you don't know, it's basically like a bullet hell. Oh yeah, I forgot we watched it on a start yesterday. Kind of like Toho, if you ever played it, which is the most famous of that genre. I think like there's a game called like Galactica or something, which is quite similar as well. But it's a game where basically enemies have just fire a ridiculous amount of bullets on screen, essentially, and you have to do your best to dodge your attacks. Except for the bullet hell part of it is not quite like Toho. It's a lot more like a 2D Final Fantasy XIV is what I hear, where basically there's like damage circles on the floor, whatever. It's sort of like a simulated MMO raid boss. Like circles appear, like lines appear, you know, the mechanics where it's like you have to break chains in between each other by walking away from each other, etc, etc. It's all very cool. I don't remember what I was going to say about this, to be honest. Just immediately slipped my mind. Oh yeah, now I remember. So I hear it's like a 2D Final Fantasy XIV, which has similar sort of things. And I think I brought this up in the past, that like one of my... I'm not sure if I'd call it a guilty pleasure, per se, but like one of the things, which I love, I always say I like to look at videos which explain things in hobbies and circles which I don't understand, or I don't partake in, or don't know much about. And one thing I randomly stumbled across when, I don't know, some random time back in when I was a teenager or something, are these like, just like the World of Warcraft guides to like heroic dungeons or whatever, where they explain the different the bosses and the mechanics. I know Yogscast, like the old guard of Yogscast, Simon and Lewis, used to make some of them. It might have been where they got the start of World of Warcraft, I honestly don't remember. But yeah, but there's like a variety of different creators whose names I do not remember, make these very interesting guides. And I guess I kind of like watching them because I like watching them from like a game design perspective, being like, what interesting mechanics can you come up with for this final boss? I think Rabbit and Steel does like a nice job of just sort of distilling it down into a much more manageable size, where you don't have to get like a party of like, what, 16, 20 people I think it is, raids. You just have 4. It's a very cheap and accessible game, and it's 2D. Well, 2D doesn't really make much of a difference. I think it's the fact that it's sort of divorced from the actual MMO grind aspect of the game. I say this all the time, like a raid boss simulator would be really, really fun as like a game. Just like take an MMO dungeons part, just get rid of the grind portion of it. That's what I want to play. And I guess, to be fair, that's what Rabbit and Steel is. It's just like a 2D game or something like that. And honestly, it's a lot of fun. But it makes me wonder, because when I was younger, was so excited to play a game. Like, I never played World of Warcraft. No, I have played a tiny bit of World of Warcraft, not much. We played it, like, the 3 levels once in the summertime or something. I don't remember. What class did I play? I think I played a priest. and we played with a classmate who I wasn't like that close with, but he played like a lot of WoW, and I believe I was playing a disc priest. I don't really remember what that means, but there you go. What was I going to say about it? So yeah, I haven't played like WoW MMO, so I never got to experience those interesting raid boss mechanics. In fact, the MMO that I used to play a lot when I was younger was called Grand Fantasia, which I don't know if it's still going on at the moment, but that basically had essentially very few actual raid boss mechanics, or they did have some, but you just kind of like brute forced it, to be honest anyway. I'm trying to remember. But the only raid boss mechanic I remember is there's a skeleton dog boss, which puts a curse on the tank, and that curse basically means they take no healing, so you have to dispel that curse before you can continue healing them. Trying to remember what others there are. I don't know, because I didn't even play a lot of like the much higher level boss areas or whatever, because it took, as I say, it was such a grind, so I never really got bothered to. So I can't really remember what later bosses are or what mechanics they had. Most of them were just bullet sponges, or you just ignore the mechanics anyway. Yeah. Apparently it was Grand Fantasia Online now. Anyway, I like that game mostly because you had sprites, which are basically Tamagotchis. And the Tamagotchis are the thing which makes your equipment and stuff. Is it a good game? It's okay. I don't think it's particularly good or great or anything, but you know. It's a lot of people's first MMOs, I think, and a lot of pay to win, because there was so much like you had to buy stuff to like actually craft things, because there was like a percentage chance of things failing all the time, and the percentage chance of it succeeding was so unbearably low. But you had to buy like Sprite King's blessings to make it a guaranteed. It was ridiculous. Yeah. So anyway, that's my history with it. But like the raid bosses and the ideas of raid bosses from World of Warcraft, I think were always very enticing. And lo and behold, come GCSE time, I'm gonna say like 16 maybe I was, a game gets announced which looks really exciting. I think I first discovered its trailer from Far From Subtle, Video Games Awesome, which is a YouTube channel I used to watch back in the day. With that trailer, I don't remember, like they had the two different factions. It was meant to be like the WoW killer, as so many games were back in my day. But I was like, the actual combat system looks pretty cool. I think it's probably reasonably reminiscent of what Final Fantasy XIV has now, but it has all like these hitboxes on the ground, which like glow and you show, and it's basically a sort of like a dance of dodging these things. Anyway, WildStar was not a very successful game, mainly because they had a purchase and subscription model, which you had to interface with simultaneously to play the game, but it had not nearly enough I don't know, but there's a good like death of a game video which you can watch on it. But I was super excited to play it, because I was like, whoa, this combat looks really fun. Apparently it was insanely exhausting to play that combat system the entire time, because it was a thing where you basically had to, like, even just fighting like a regular monster was like exhausting. That's the thing, like with MMOs, is that a lot of it is a grind. You only really want to focus on the dungeon part. When you're just killing random mobs, it doesn't need to be that big a deal, right? Or shouldn't be. You can't have things be high intensity all the time, right? Anyway, but I always thought the boss like fights and stuff looked really cool. And lo and behold, I suppose there's many other MMOs which have that sort of system in. But Rapid still I like, because it's sort of like a pick up and play. Again, I don't like the actual grind MMO part of a game. I like the boss fight part of a game. That's why Cuphead is one of my favourite games. It's literally just run and gun, fights, boss fights over and over again. Just interesting mechanics which they can introduce every single time. That's great. That's what I love. Love a good boss rush. But anyway, so playing that makes me wonder if I would enjoy Final Fantasy XIV. I don't know how big it is right now. I remember I was very tempted to play Final Fantasy XIV. I don't know if it's still a subscription, or if it's still going on, or if there's whatever the current. Oh, I guess it's not 14. Hold on, what? Final Fantasy MMORPG. It's discontinued? What? It's shut down? When? A Realm Reborn. Wait, I'm confused. Is it still going? Oh, it's saying the original one was shut down. Right, this is a 2010 video game rather than the relaunch. I do remember that. Like, it was... I remember that in 2010. People hated it when it came out. It was so bad. I remember, like, brought it down, and then they brought out a new one, and apparently it's just been fantastic or something. Okay, so it's still going. It had Dawn Trail in 2024. I don't really understand how expansion packs work in MMORPGs as well. Do you just, like, not get access to the content or something if you don't get it? Anyway, I was very tempted to play it. I don't know if it's free to play at the moment, or if you still need a subscription to play it. I think you still need a subscription. Up to level 73. Okay, because it's... I mean, it very much used to be a thing with those MMORPGs where you'd have to subscribe to play for them. Now people are finding out that a free-to-play model and in-game microtransactions are definitely the way to go if you want to maximise the business gain. But, yeah, I remember I was very tempted. But then I remember looking at, like, the character customization and being like, none of these character customizations really, like, jump out at me, you know? But I do hear it's a fun game because the classes are pretty cool. Like, I like the astrology healer, whatever. Seems like a really cool concept. Or maybe I only really know about them because of JoeCat. And his sort of coverage of how to play, like, the different classes in them or something. I don't know, it seems like a lot of fun. Let me see, Squeenix. How do I see the... Why is this website so laggy? Final Fantasy 14 races. That's the important part. Which races can you play as? Yeah, I don't know. I just, like, look at these. I'm just like, I don't know. But human of animal is elf, orc, and dwarf, basically, or gnome. Kind of looks more like. I thought there were more. List of playable races. Sure, Windows 10. Well, hold on. There's an actual wiki. Maybe let's look up a wiki. Viera, Mikote? Apparently there is more, maybe? I don't know. Hrofgar. Anyway, I don't think it's the right time enough to really start playing these MMOs, if anything. If anything, I'll just stick with Rabbit and Steel to sort of scratch that itch. Because I don't know, I feel like the coordinated dance you play when you first fight the boss and go, what the heck is going on? What do all of these things mean? And then when you play it, like, on your... I don't know how many runs we've done. I'm going to say we've done 20 runs, maybe? I don't know if that's even right. I wonder how many hours I have on the game. Maybe that's the way to judge it. Let's see, 10 hours in the game. Okay, so it's probably been like 30 runs or something-ish. Yeah. What was I going to say about this? I don't remember. But yeah, but then you play it, like, once you've done all that stuff and you're like, whoa. You can understand what's going on. Like, you see the cleave, you know where to go, you know where to dodge into things. It's like a very elaborate dance. I guess it sort of takes out the portion where you're like, oh, this is me learning the bosses. Now I learned it, now can I execute it properly? Who knows? That's there for you to not decide, but determine yourself. It really is it's just like a fun style of that sort of game, really. That's what makes it enjoyable. So it makes me think I probably would actually like the boss battles in Final Fantasy 14, but the actual grind to get that, I think, is the annoying part for anyone, really. Like, no one wants to have to... Well, maybe not no one. I guess part of a grind is that sort of desire, but I think the biggest problem with anything, which touched on a lot, to be honest, is the fact that every game right now is trying to vie for your attention to be the game which you play. I don't mean like gone are the days of the games of just play it once, complete it. Well, that's not true, but so many games nowadays are trying to be like, I want to be the game which you consistently come back to because then you spend more time, you spend more money, etc., etc. Which is a lot, certainly, to keep up with. Tiring, one may say, one may not say. But because of that, I think it's just like, I don't know, MMO is like MMORPG is like a really, really big commitment to do so, right? Because that's not, like these gacha games, like I play, would I recommend you play them? No, not necessarily, but they are the sort of games which sort of fight for your attention, but they also don't want to fight too much for your attention, right? They don't want to completely consume everything you do. They want to be there, sort of there in the background, like continuously there. Well, maybe, I don't know. But MMOs are just like a really big commitment, because there's always something you can be doing in them. The gacha systems, like they always limit it by stamina, so they actively encourage you, like, oh, play me for like half an hour a day or something. But the MMORPGs, like they're time sync. You could play like 14 hours and you can get like, maybe not meaningful entertainment out of it, but you can get meaningful progress in the game out of it for the continuous 14 hours if you wanted to. Maybe. I'm not sure if that's necessarily true. I think nowadays they might be like put limits on, or like how much loot or whatever you can get from one thing or another. At least in Grand Fantasia I don't think they did. I think you could literally spend the whole day doing dungeon runs if you really wanted to accrue money. Anyway, yeah, I don't really know what else to say about that. So that's why I don't like the MMO system, but the actual dungeons and raid boss encounters are really sound like fun. It does sound like it would be a really cool time to get together like a group of your friends to do raid boss, but then you'd also have to get, it's pretty hard, like, for one to get a large gaming group of friends also all organised at the same time, and two and three all wanting to play the same game at the same time, and four also to have cohesive synergy with each other. So, you know, I'll take the result of having Rabbit and Steel only having 4 players as a suitable balance. and it's genuinely a lot of fun. It genuinely is. I'm not sure if it's a game I want to grind all the time. I guess part of me worries that once it becomes a solved game of mine, maybe I will lose interest in it, like so many other games out there. But for now I'm having a fun time with it, and maybe that's all that matters. Anyway, on that note, I think I'll round this episode off here, so if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been dear darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope to see each other again, but for now it's our farewell. So until next time, bye bye for now. I guess I should work on thumbnail art, huh?